Hello, in this video I'm going to be looking at the credit economy in Reforged, or at least what I know of the credit economy. Now, in regards to credits in Reforged compared to current Blitz, there aren't actually too many massive changes. For the most part, the ways that tanks make credits stay pretty similar. You perform well in battle, you're going to get credits for your performance. So that aspect doesn't really change. Same thing goes for what credits you actually need to spend on tanks. For the most part, it stays largely the same. There are a few changes which are worth noting, right? Obviously, the most clear one is that now modules do cost credits, they don't cost free XP. Now, there's a funny thing, some people have been complaining that this is somehow a bad thing. I don't see how that is, because let's face it, right? If you're grinding a tank in battle, you're playing it, you have every booster installed, for example, even free XP and credits on, what are you going to be making for more of? Is it going to be free XP or is it going to be credits? You can even make some credits in tech tree tanks that have no enrichment. The amount of free XP you make on any tank is minimal. You have to play way more battles in a tank to earn enough free XP just to unlock one module, compared to playing battles in a tank to earn enough credits to unlock, multiple modules on a tech tree tank. So, at least from how I can see it, the credit system is a lot better for actually grinding tanks, grinding credits, considering most players do have a premium. Most players will eventually get a premium due to events and stuff. So actually changing it from XP to actually be credits does seem to be quite a good system for really every player. But yeah, this is the new biggest cost for you to actually have to progress through and unlock modules now using credits. The nice thing with stock tanks now though is that the progression is so gradual, right? You can see here with the RU251, the alpha damage starts at 210. It looks like a massive DPM difference, which to be fair, it is, but all the upgrades on the gun are pretty gradual. You can see the damage, the penetration is 10 less than the tier 2, then tier 2 is only 5 less than the tier 3, tier 3 is only 5 less than the tier 4. So sure, it adds up, you got more modules on the tank, but each upgrade is very gradual, therefore there's less of a massive difference between each upgrade of the gun, and you kind of get more used to playing the tank that way. Also, if you don't want to play the tank stock, just play your premium for a few battles and you'll be able to unlock the top gun the first second you actually buy the tank. So that is something worth considering now with credits. One more thing is that provisions are gone. You don't need to spend any credits on provisions. To be fair, the amount you would spend on provisions each battle would only be 10 to 15k credits per battle anyway, so it's not a massive cost. But yeah, now provisions kind of half worked into equipment. Not 100%, especially as equipment is kind of a flawed system in itself. You have to choose one or the other, so technically you can't have the full choice of provisions as before. But the cost of provisions, that 10 to 15k credit cost, has been removed from all tanks in terms of what you're paying after battle. So, other than this, other than the tank modules, let's actually talk about how you earn credits in your tanks. So, I've already discussed it in a few videos, but it is worth noting. Premiums will be the credit grinders after the Reforged update. Collector tanks will not make credits. Tech tree tanks will not make credits, unless you have already owned them before the update and they had enrichment level. So premium tanks, as you can see, such as the Lurva here, HWK30, Panther 88, all these tanks, they're premiums. They are the intended credits grinding class of vehicle, and they make extra credits as shown by their profitability status shown in the garage. The difference to premiums is that premium tanks after the Reforged update will lose their profit kind of status. If you buy a brand new premium tank in Reforged, which I can actually go do that right now, let me go buy some tank which I don't own, which I can actually buy for gold, hopefully. Yeah, so the T42, this is a collector tank, right? I do not own this tank in Blitz at the moment, so I don't have its increased profitability rate. If I buy this tank here now, it's going to not have any enrichment on it. right? So let's go ahead, buy it, have a look. And yeah, you can see, look, this tank, no profitability. If I want to have it making extra credits, I need to spend some gold to actually get it to that level. Now, once again, this is only for the new collector tanks you buy after the Reforged update, or if you win it from a crate or something like that. This doesn't apply to tanks you already own. If you already own a premium, or well, sorry, a collector tank before the Reforged update, it keeps some of its profit making level, as you can see here. In fact, it keeps 100% of it. But there is something to note. If you have sold your collector tank before the Reforged update and restore it after, from what I know from before, you don't keep the profit making status on the tank. That's just what I know. I'm not going to say you will keep it because I don't know that. From past ultra tests, it has been said that you will not keep the profit making ability on collector tanks if they are not in your garage by the time Reforged drops. So that is worth noting. Let's actually talk about tech tree tanks and what happens to tech tree tank enrichment. So if you have a tank that has been enriched in, well, current Blitz before Reforged drops, it will keep its enrichment level for the, well, Reforged update. It's not going to lose its enrichment just because you've already spent the gold on enriching the tank and actually getting it up to that level to actually make you extra credits. So you will not lose your tank enrichment on tech tree tanks. That's something worth considering in case you were worried for your tech tree tanks. But now let's actually talk about how you can actually properly make credits in battle, right? So if you enter battle, you do your damage, and you come out of battle, right? You get to the results screen. You have your medals on the results screen. I know I'm not showing it yet, but there's a reason for that. And you know, they've got your first class, your mastery badges, your top gun, high caliber, all that stuff, right? Every medal. From these medals, you'll be making a different amount of credits depending on the tank you're playing. So if I was playing a tech tree tank, for example, this T28, it's not enriched, it's not got any extra profitability, so I'd only get credits for the top 3 medals. So the first 3 medals that show up on the screen will be the ones I'm making credits for, and it will give me the base amount of credits from those medals. It's not going to give me any extra kind of bonus from the medals. Each medal kind of has its own set credit amount, so it is going to give me just that set credit amount. As you can see here, it says 0 extra silver, and that's what that means. But let's say I was playing some collector tank, right? We actually go find one with a bit lower profitability. So let's say I was playing a collector tank, right? Let's say I was playing this charioteer. I would get credits for the top 4 medals in the charioteer, and each medal would give me an extra 70% silver on top of its base amount. Sounds kind of confusing, but I'll show you the screens in a minute and it will make sense. Now, if I was playing some other tank which has even higher credit making, for example the Titan 54D, I would get credits for the first 5 medals, and each of those medals would give me extra 90% of the credit amount for that medal. And then of course even higher, you get it for the top 6, 100%, and then for premiums it goes even higher than that. So that is kind of how the medals work. I will now go ahead and show that. Just let me quickly show you how premiums have a higher credit making coefficient. So premiums, the base level of credit making is level 7. Right, every premium has level 7 or higher credit making ability, and that means you get rewarded for the first 7 medals in battle. Each of them makes 110%. Some of them have got level 8 credit coefficient, such as, if I can find one, such as the M6A2E1 experimental. Now this means you get silver or credits for the top 8 medals, and they make 130%. Very rare ones have level 9, which gives you top 9 medals making 150%, and then the only 2 in game which have level 10 make 230% from each medal, and you get it for the top 10 medals in battle. Now, what does this all actually translate into? What does all this mean with the medals and everything? Well, let's go ahead and look at some battle results just to kind of demonstrate to you. So in this battle, I did 3,700 damage in the AMX 50B, 728 from ramming, and 914 from actually just shooting enemies. And you can see here the medals on the screen. This is not the credit screen, this is just the results screen. You can see here, got a Confederate medal, a ribbon for setting a tank on fire, ramming damage, and then these other ones. But they are not relevant to me because the AMX 50B is a tech tree tank, meaning it has common profitability and I only get credits for the first 3 medals in battle. Stop. And so you can see what that actually means. So I get 8,050 credits per one of these medals here, and I don't get any for these other 3 just because my tank doesn't have that level of enrichment, right? It is common profitability, so I can only get it for the first 3 medals. The most valuable 3 medals, I should clarify. Now, the other amount of credits you can see here, it comes from premium accounts and the credit booster giving me quite a lot. But from the battle itself, you can see all the credits that I got were from these 3 medals, 8,050 each, which in total is 24,150. Now, remember that, 8,050 for the one setting on fire, for the ramming damage one for Confederate, and then 7,950 for the second class mastery badge. Remember these numbers, we're going to come back to them. Now, let's check another battle which I had in the Super Conqueror. Very similar amount of damage, 3,600. I blocked 2,400 in this one, and it was also a second class mastery badge. But the difference is, the Super Conqueror has level 5 profitability because I owned it before the Reforged update happened. So now you can see the difference, right? The level 5 profitability gives me a bonus in the base amount of silver that each of these medals actually gives me for the battle. So instead of 8,050, the ribbon for setting a tank on fire now gives me 15,295. The ribbon for damage, which was also 8,050, gives me, well, 15,295. The ribbon, well, the second class mastery badge, which on the AMX 50B was 7,950, is now giving me 15,105. And you can see how that extra 90% bonus for, well, on top of the base level of credits that each of these makes, actually makes a massive difference. It's almost double the amounts from the AMX 50B. On top of that, I'm not just getting it for the first 3 medals in this battle, I'm getting it for the first 5, so it's also including this one, which is, well, 7,410, and this one for 3,705. If this had max profitability for a collector tank, I'd also get this one, but it doesn't, so I don't. And you can see how that kind of translates into the credit making of this tank. In this battle, I got 56,000 base, compared to the previous one where I got 24,000. The results of these battles don't differ massively. I did 3,600 in this one, 3,700 in the other one. I got a second class in this one, got a second class in the other one. But because the Super Conqueror has level 5 enrichment, I made almost double the amount of credits that I made in the AMX 50B if you aren't accounting for like premium accounts and the credit booster which I had. You can see kind of how that actually translates into the results, into the credits that you actually make in battle. So you can see here, Super Conqueror with its level 5 credits, credit making ability, you get credits for the top 5 badges and then 90% more than the base. 50B, you only get it for the top 3 and you don't get any extra credits on top of that. So that's kind of how it works in terms of how you actually make credits in battle. I hope it clarifies it because it is a completely new system for how you actually make credits. In terms of what you do to get the credits, it's not too different, right? You play well, you do things in battle, you will get credits. Now it's just based on kind of the ribbon system and the badges that you get in battle rather than previously where it was based on, I think, just your raw damage and some other things. A quick interruption, I completely forgot to mention in this video that your tanks actually do make extra credits compared to before the Reforged update. Wargaming discussed this before in previous Ultra tests, that because of the raised tank prices, tanks would actually make more credits. And now they have slightly adjusted that down because, of course, tanks cost the same, they don't cost more. Modules do cost a bit more, so that is, I believe, why they're still keeping it in, at least partially. And you also can still make extra credits from ranked battles, where each higher rank actually gives you a bonus to how much credits you get per battle, which is very nice, because if you think about it, each battle you play, let's say you got to Diamond, right? Each battle you play, an extra 15% credits. If you got some boosters on and other stuff, it makes a big difference over each battle you play, especially if you play a good amount per day. But yeah, completely forgot to mention those, but they are quite important points. Tanks themselves make a bit of extra credits, and then you can still earn extra from ranked. But yeah, I do hope that last bit especially was helpful to you all to actually clarify how credit making works, and I hope it helps you make decisions on your premium tanks, like what you want to get if you want to enrich certain tanks, because now enriched collector tanks do make as much as enriched tech tree tanks, which previously I don't think it was the case. But yeah, again, that is it for the credit economy for Reforged. I believe that covers everything. Credits basically remaining roughly the same in terms of what everything costs. There's not massive changes. All the tanks in the tech tree still cost the same amount to buy. You do have to research modules for, well, credits now instead of XP, but that's just a change of the currency. So yeah, I do hope that helps to clarify the credit economy in Reforged and make it a bit more clear for all of you out there. Thanks all for watching.